for much of human history, night was a time of the unknown. We huddled in fear against the darkness. Even in modern times, some people still fear the night. But there are those who embrace the night, who look forward to its coming, who are drawn to the beauty and wonder of a nighttime sky painted with stars. 80 years ago, a group of such people got together in central Alberta to form a branch of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. This is their story. In 1932, Edmonton had a population of just over 78,000 people. It was the Great Depression. Millions were out of work across Canada. Unable to afford gasoline, people had to resort to another type of horsepower to move their cars. And drought had turned the breadbasket of North America into a dust bowl. And in Europe, a new evil was on the rise that would lead the world into a bloody war by the end of the decade. Despite this, the heavens were expanding, a new planet for our solar system. Clyde Tombaugh discovered it in 1930. And Edwin Hubble, using the 100-inch telescope at the Lick Observatory, found the universe was far bigger than anyone could ever imagine. In Edmonton there was a small core of dedicated astronomy enthusiasts. They would gather at the University of Alberta to discuss the latest astronomical findings with some of the academia there. After a meeting in the spring of 1932, this group decided to petition the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada for an Edmonton chapter. Sir Nigel Atkins, Earl of Southampton, personally delivered the charter, and the Royal Astronomical Society of Edmonton was formed. Early meetings were grand affairs, with presentations, announcements, business, fundraising, a bit of socializing after, and then some observing on the roof of the University of Alberta. Like today, sky conditions within the city were not the best, and so the idea of getting away from the city for a star party was born. The first star party of RASC Edmonton was in 1934 near Beaumont. Arriving early for the best spot was of primary concern to the members of the RASC Edmonton. Once there, their equipment would be set up, tents would be pitched, and members would gather together to watch the beauty of the night sky unfold. Sometimes fatigue would overcome the astronomers and they would miss some celestial highlight. Like today, public outreach was an important part of the RASC Edmonton. Visits to schools and service clubs were much welcome by the public. The head of public outreach in those days was Bartholomew Fitzwilly. He would organize many public events, including outreaches to out of town, some of which did not go well.
To my darling wife, we set off today for our first outreach outside of Edmonton. The roads to this place are terrible, so it's better that we go upriver. Even then, the current is strong and we're constantly fighting against it. We get there, and the place is absolutely desolate, covered with mosquitoes and black flies. I don't know why we ever came to St. Albert.
In these early days, store-bought telescopes were hard to come by and very expensive. Most people made their own. RASC members pooled their resources and created a telescope factory where they poured glass for their own mirrors and ground them. But this factory soon shuts down. War has come to the world again. Germany invades Poland, then France and the lowlands. Europe is in blackness, and Canadian troops head overseas to meet the foe. Members of the RASC use their superb observational skills as aircraft spotters. But astronomy still progresses in Edmonton. A 12-inch telescope is donated to the University of Alberta. It is the Yates Observatory. Europe is devastated. The Red Army enters Berlin. Germany has been defeated. Hitler is dead. And in the Pacific, a new horror is unleashed upon the world. After the war, Edmonton is growing and changing. The old is being replaced by the new. And the RASC is changing too, with new members swelling its ranks. The 200-inch Hale telescope is commissioned. It will be the largest telescope on the planet for most of the 20th century. And Halley's Comet is heading back towards Earth. Throughout the 1950s, Edmonton continues to expand. Commercial telescopes become more affordable. In cosmology, Professor Hoyle of England challenges the Big Bang theory with his steady-state theory on the creation of the universe. This mirrors another great controversy.
Tastes great. Less filling. Tastes great. Less filling.
But on October 4th, 1957, the space age begins with the launch of Sputnik 1. Even though the Russians had said they were going to launch a satellite, it is a complete surprise in the West, and they react with fear. This sets in motion a space race which will last over 10 years between the United States and the Soviet Union. It will be a time of triumph and heroes and casualties and tragedy. But in 1969, men will land on the moon. It will also be the first great age of space exploration as fleets of probes head to the planets. The RASC becomes part of a great enterprise to build a planetarium in Edmonton. It is the first public planetarium in Canada, named after Queen Elizabeth II to mark her visit to the city. The excitement of the space age, coupled with new discoveries in astronomy, bring throngs of people to the planetarium every day. But after 20 years, it has outgrown its facility. 1979 marks the 75th anniversary of Edmonton incorporating as a city. City administration are keen to build a new science center until someone pitches a waterfall for the high-level bridge. Fortunately, the next year is the 75th anniversary of Alberta becoming a province, and with provincial backing, the Edmonton Space and Science Centre is built. Astronomy and space science has always fueled the public imagination. In popular culture, it has sometimes been done very well. But unfortunately, most times, it's a big, stinking, bloody mess.
What kind of damage?
Total, sir.
Roger, control, we are on max Q.
Prepare the world for bad news.
Oh my god, this is it.
In 1980, the most successful science and astronomy program ever made debuted on PBS, Cosmos, with Carl Sagan. Sagan's easygoing style of explaining complex concepts in language anyone could understand was a landmark event. Even today, 30 years after it debuted, it is still a great program. When the RASC Edmonton turned 50, they changed their logo, adopting the national logo. Halley's Comet was the event of the 80s. It is the most famous comet in history. Several books were sold, and unfortunately several crappy telescopes. Although a few good ones got sold too, thanks to some celebrity endorsements. Thousands around the world gazed up in wonder at this visitor. RASC Edmonton had several public events to view the comet, and it gained a member whose name still echoes today.
Oh, hello, Bruce. How are you, Bruce? Big crook, Bruce. Where's Bruce? It's not here, Bruce.
Whether it's aurora, comets, close conjunctions of planets, the RASC has been there, celebrating 400 years of the telescope, or holding public events and world-renowned speakers, visiting a meteor crater. From its humble beginnings to today, RASC Edmonton continues to grow and looks forward to its future.